Name's Mason Caldwell, a tax lawyer climbing the ladder, not exactly the stuff of wild tales, but it's even less glamorous than it sounds. Straight out of law school, chasing a master's in taxation, I scored my one and only job at a mid-sized firm right there in Chicago. They stuck me in bankruptcy, the department nobody wanted. At first, it was just a paycheck and a roof over my head, nothing fancy. Then my luck turned when I started working under Victor Grayson, the firm's bankruptcy big shot. Vic was a pro, a hard-nosed mentor who demanded you bring your A-game but never held back on teaching you the ropes. I owe a ton of what I've pulled off to that guy. With his help, I started finding my place in the world, and eventually, some happiness too, but not before getting my heart stomped on. Our bankruptcy crew was tiny, mostly just me and Vic. It wasn't exactly the hot spot at the firm, so when we got swamped, a couple of part-timers grudgingly chipped in. The work felt like stepping into some twisted fairy tale, everything flipped on its head. Out of all the folks I knew from law school, only Travis Benton ended up in Chicago too. We weren't tight back in the day, but sharing that Midwest vibe pulled us together in the city. Travis, now hitched and working for Chicago, asked me over for dinner at his place. The second I walked in, I clocked Tessa Hayward, this stunning woman with that slick Chicago polish. She had this classy, easy vibe, like her looks didn't even have to try. I couldn't figure out why she ended up sitting next to me that night. Tessa, with her chestnut hair and hazel eyes, felt way out of my league, but it seems Travis's wife, Lila, had a plan. The night turned into this great chat. Tessa wasn't just a knockout, she was bold, sure of herself, and easy to talk to. When it wrapped up, she asked me to walk her home to Evanston. I figured we'd grab a cab, but she wanted the train instead. She stuck close, firing off questions and actually listening, which made the ride a total rush. At her door, she planted this electric kiss on me that screamed she was into it. "Can we hang out again?" I blurted out. We locked in a time for our first real date, and after, she gave me a softer kiss goodnight. I walked away, half-dazed by how lucky I'd gotten. 5 weeks I was a wreck. The night before, Tessa hit me with the news she had plans with some other dude, Diego Morales, the state labor commissioner. Tall, good-looking, and loaded with success, he seemed like the kind of guy tailor-made for a woman like Tessa. I must have looked like I'd been kicked in the teeth because Vic hauled me into his office. "Mason, what's wiped that Nebraska grin off your mug?" he asked. "Sorry, it's personal, don't want to dump it on anybody," I mumbled. But hiding stuff from Vic? Pointless. Soon enough, he had the whole messy story. He kicked back in his chair, laced his fingers together like he was about to preach, and propped his chin on them. "Back when I was coming up," Vic started, "this town was still ruled by the Italians and Poles. Third- and fourth-generation types, still tossing around accents or old slang from the old country. Pros who'd studied in Italy but kept that spark of where they came from. Their history now, and I miss the life they brought to the game. Today's crowd comes from all over, new angles, sure, but maybe they just take themselves too damn serious." I blinked, lost. Sorry, Vic, I'm not tracking." He let out a sigh. "I hope you never lose that Nebraska green, Mason. Now, about this guy your gal's seeing, he was born Derek Mancini. Dad owned a chunk of Mancini's retail empire, Mom was Cuban-Italian. Goes by Diego Morales now, his mom's name, for the political angle. Married to Clara Voss from the Voss family, big money, big pull, for optics. 3 reasons he ain't stealing her: 1, he's pushing 48, and she's way younger. 2, he's got a solid wife and 3 kids. Clara's not the jealous type, but she'd never let herself get shoved aside, not with her family's clout. 3, Diego's careful as hell about his private life screwing up his career. Still, what if she's into him? I asked, gut twisting. Vic scrunched his face up like I'd just asked him something boneheaded. "How old's this gal?" he pressed. 29, I shot back. "A 29-year-old with her clock ticking loud, and you're a decent 27-year-old lawyer," he said, his voice cutting like a knife. "You're reading this all wrong, Mason. Diego's in the picture to light a fire under you. For dates with a single woman her age? That's getting real, man. Step up or step out." After that chat with the boss, I felt a lift, like maybe I had a shot. Next time I saw Tessa, I pushed the issue, and she didn't hold back. "If we're doing this, I need to know you're all in," she said, her tone steady as steel. I could say the same to you, I fired back. You mean in general? She asked, eyes narrowing. Yeah, and about Diego, I admitted. She didn't flinch. I've been seeing him for a couple years, but it's not deep. I'm serious about this, though, she said. Me too, I replied, marveling at how Vic had nailed it. That night, she took me to her place, and things got wild. I wasn't some pro in the bedroom, barely knew what I was doing, but Tessa. She brought the heat and then some. I stumbled through it, half-dazed, and by morning, I was hooked. I crashed at her apartment for a week, and pretty soon, we were tossing around the idea of tying the knot. She started dropping hints the second I hauled my stuff in. Tessa was 29, hustling as an associate manager at Carver Financial Group. Right after we got engaged, she landed a VP gig. I knew she was sharp and had her act together, but her planning skills blew me away. She whipped our wedding together in 7 weeks flat. Family-wise, she was the oldest of 3, the only girl. Her dad, a real estate lawyer, worked out in DuPage and Kane counties, knee-deep in local politics. That's why they pushed for a big, fast wedding. Me? Death had whittled my crew down to just me and my sister, Paige, who was shacked up with her girlfriend out in Oregon. I asked her to come, but she blew me off. Work-wise, I'd settled into an easier groove, handling lighter stuff now that Vic wasn't riding me so hard. He'd made it clear he was grooming me for bigger things. Bankruptcy was in a lull, and Vic didn't sugarcoat it. I had to be ready when it picked up, 'cause he was eyeing retirement. You've got the brains and the charm, Mason, but you gotta learn to grind, he told me, staring me down. I buckled down, poring over laws and cases like a madman. Good start, he'd say, but there's tricks you won't find in any book. That Friday before the wedding, I picked up a new one. Tessa and her mom had pegged Labor Day for the big day. I hadn't caught on that the early date gave us a long weekend to prepare and jet off to the Bahamas for our honeymoon, her folks' treat. Tuesday after the wedding, our bags were lined up in the hall, 3 for her, 1 for me. I was a bundle of nerves about the whole thing, but there wasn't time to stew. The week before, Tessa had bolted to her family's place in DuPage County so we could get some space before the chaos. It'll make the honeymoon hotter and keep my jitters from freaking you out, she teased. That Friday, last business day of August, 3 days before the wedding, I had a bankruptcy court hearing. It was about first-day orders, the big step in reorganization cases that sets the ground rules for the debtor under court protection. For a small fry like mine, it's usually chill, just me, the bank's lawyer, and the judge. Judge Harmon was a stickler like me, all about the playbook. I strolled into the office that morning, ready to snag the file and head out, but the clerk stopped me. Judge's secretary set up a phone hearing instead, he said. I got there, palms sweaty, and the clerk patched us all in. Judge Harmon kicked it off. So, Kendra, what's your beef with this ruling? Kendra was the bank's lawyer, smart as a whip, always hitting my weak spots. She wasn't much to look at, but I always thought she had a kind face. They called her honey, which didn't fit. She was short, barely 5 feet, and carried extra weight down low. After Kendra laid out her case, I tried to jump in, but Harmon shut me down. Orders done. My secretary's faxing it out, he said, and that was that. Once the call dropped, I asked Kendra what the hell just happened. She chuckled. Judge Harmon scored tickets for my firm for the final races at Arlington Park. He's gotta be up past Rockford by 1. Couldn't waste time on us, so he ruled against you to look good. It's a nothing case, though. Next time, I'll bury you, she said, still laughing. I hate winning like that, I grumbled. Take the W and run, she shot back, then added, my aunt says you're a solid dude for a, she cut off, laughing, and hung up. Right then, Vic poked his head in. Take the rest of the day, Mason. Chill before the wedding. As I headed out, I couldn't resist. Who's the foam? He grinned. That's us non-Jews. It's their way of saying you're a good kid for a guy like you. Take it as a win. I figured I'd head to DuPage early. I wasn't due till Saturday for the rehearsal dinner, but why mope around Chicago? I'd expected to be stuck all day tweaking that order to keep everyone happy, but since that fell through, why not hit the road? I tried ringing Tessa first, but it went straight to voicemail. That's when I made the call that flipped everything upside down. That I dialed up Tessa's folks' place in DuPage County, figuring I'd just leave a voicemail. Sometimes, it's the random stuff that flips your whole world. Nobody from the Hayward clan was around. Their usual maid, Carla, was off getting her dress fitted for the wedding, so her cousin was holding down the fort, a lady I'd never met, barely spoke English, and didn't know me from Adam. I need to leave a message for Tessa. This is Mason, I said, repeating it for the third time. She not here. She in the city, the cousin mumbled. I know she lives there, but she came home for the wedding. Tell her Mason's swinging by later. She in the city, at hotel. Come to wedding tomorrow, she replied. It took a sec to sink in, but my gut started buzzing. Which hotel? I pressed. Ritz, she said. I'm not the paranoid type, but that lit a spark. It was pushing noon when I called the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago. Our reception was set for DuPage, not some swanky downtown spot. Something was up, and I wasn't in the loop. There'd been a bachelorette bash last week, maybe the girls were throwing another party before the big day? I rang the hotel and asked for Tessa Hayward. No dice, no record. Then, maybe 'cause I was feeling shaky, I threw out, what about Diego Morales? Sorry, no, the desk girl said. Try Derek Mancini. A pause, then, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Derek Mancini are in the honeymoon suite. Want me to connect you? Could be a coincidence, I told myself, pretty common name, right? The line rang, and when a guy picked up, I nearly bailed. But I had to know. Can I talk to Tessa Hayward? I heard him call out, T, it's for you. Hello? Her voice hit me like a brick, but I froze. Hello? Anybody there? She asked, then to him, no one's on. Finally, I croaked, it's Mason. Don't come to the wedding. I won't be there. I hung up as she yelled my name, the sound cutting off sharp. After that, it's a blur. I just sat there in the apartment, like all the life had drained out of me. The romance, shacking up, our slick little place, it was all fake. The lease wasn't even mine, it was in her name. My brain checked out. I knew I had to pack and bolt, but my legs wouldn't budge, then the door swung open. It was her. I barely registered how she'd gotten there so fast. Glanced at my watch, 2 p.m. Judge Harmon should have been at the races by now. Weird how that stuck with me. Mason, we gotta talk, she said, her voice wobbly. You been with him all week? I cut in, no messing around. She stood there in the living room, dodging my eyes. We just said goodbye, she muttered. So it wasn't over, till now? I pushed. Stop it, you know I love you, she snapped, irritation creeping in. How am I supposed to believe that? I shot back. I'm done with him. It's over, she said, firm now. Why? I demanded. She faltered. I've been with him 7 years, pretty much since I moved to Chicago. No, why ditch him now? I pressed, the words hanging heavy. Because I'm marrying you Monday, she said, soft as a whisper. Nah, you're not, I said, ice cold. Mason, come on, be reasonable. Over 200 people are coming, she begged. I didn't answer, nothing left to say. I got up, brushed past her, mind set. Where you going? We can fix this, she cried, her voice cracking. I grabbed my suitcase and walked out. She trailed me, yelling for me to stop, but she gave up eventually. I wandered for hours, no clue where I was headed, just drifting toward the river as night crept in. Worn out, I crossed State Street near the courthouse and stumbled into a cramped bar. It was hopping for a Friday, but I found a shadowy corner to disappear into. Hey, a voice piped up. I looked up, Kendra Mosley, honey, holding 2 drinks. She slid one my way. Figured you could use this, she said. Thanks, I muttered, sipping the sharp liquor. It's a stinger, she explained, then grinned. Not big on the rules, huh? Me neither. Rules? I asked, foggy. She flashed a killer smile. Joke, me in a bar on a Friday night with the foam crowd. I must have looked lost, 'cause she added, what's with the suitcase? What should I tell my mom? I glanced down, suddenly remembering the bag at my feet. Oh, had to split. The place is hers, I said, taking another swig that burned deep. Kendra didn't pry. Instead, she spun some hilarious yarns about herself and folks we knew from bankruptcy court. It's a tight little world, everybody's in everybody's business. She kept my glass topped off, trying to pull a laugh out of me. I think she knew I was engaged and supposed to be hitched soon, but she didn't blink at finding me in an Evanston dive with a suitcase the night before my wedding. Maybe she'd had a few before I showed up and didn't clock what it meant, or where I'd been. Looking back, the only thing that sticks out from that night is Kendra hauling me into a car, saying, "It ain't far, hang on." Later, I had this dream, Tessa pinning me down on the bed, having way more fun than usual, if you catch my drift. I woke up desperate to hit the bathroom, but when I rolled out of bed, I had no clue where I was. The room wasn't the same. For a second, I was totally lost, then it slammed into me like a freight train, sharp and brutal. I ditched Tessa at her place. So where the hell was I now? My head was pounding, my brain all fuzzy like it was stuffed with wool. Last night there was a haze. I remembered stumbling into that bar off State Street, then somebody showed up. Who was it? Took a minute, then it clicked. Kendra, honey. What was she doing there, and why was I waking up buck naked in some strange bed? The room was tiny, barely big enough for the double bed shoved up against a tall window that ran from waist high to the ceiling. I was alone, but the sheets were messed up like someone else had crashed there too. No closet, no sign of my clothes, just a door half blocked by the bed. I peeked out and saw a bigger space. One side had a window showing the sidewalk outside. I was in one of those English basements you see around here, half underground, windows peeking just below street level. The place had been split into a couple of small apartments, I'd figure out later, this one and a tinier one out back. A counter cut the main room into a kitchen and dining spot, with a bay window area doubling as a living room, decked out with a couple chairs and a cushioned ledge. Nobody was around, so I crawled out, hunting for a bathroom and my stuff. There was a door across the room, and just as I got to it, it swung open. Kendra stepped out in a robe, toweling off her damp hair. "Oh, you're awake," she said, catching me right before I bolted. "Gotta be close to noon." I slapped my hands over my junk, and she snickered. "Little late to play shy now," she teased. "I got the full show last night." Face burning, I darted past her, figuring the room she'd come from was the bathroom. Nailed it. I shut the door, took care of business, and sized up the space. Tight, just a shower stall, no tub. I hopped in quick, letting the hot water blast away the hangover fog. Felt like a new man after, but there was no towel in sight. Still dripping and bare, I had to face Kendra. I cracked the door and stepped out, only to freeze. Another woman was there, dark-haired, grinning like she'd won the lottery. Kendra was over by the kitchen counter, messing with a coffee pot and mugs. "How you take your coffee?" she asked, cool as anything, like I wasn't standing there in my birthday suit. I ducked back behind the door and yelled, "Can I get some clothes? Or a towel at least?" They both cracked up. Kendra paused long enough to say, "Towels are in the closet with your suitcase and the stuff you ripped off last night." I peeked out. "Where's the closet?" Still chuckling, she waved the coffee pot at some slatted doors near the back, behind a desk by what I guessed was the main entrance. "I'd grab M for you, but I'm tied up here," she said. The other chick didn't budge either, so I made a mad dash for it. Popped the doors open, there was my gear, neat as you please. Suit and shirt on hangers, underwear perched on my suitcase. I yanked on the boxers, threw the shirt over my shoulders, and heard them giggling the whole time. "Mason, meet my sister, Nadia," Kendra called out. "Hey, Mr. Caldwell," Nadia said. "Hi," I mumbled, digging in my suitcase for jeans. "Don't dress up for me," Nadia quipped. "I'm the little sis, but I've got 3 kids, naked guys don't faze me." They both laughed as I tugged the jeans on. "Come grab some coffee," Kendra said. "Be there in a sec," I replied, still buttoning up. "You didn't say he was this bashful," Nadia stage whispered. "Didn't know," Kendra shot back, just as loud. "We're practically strangers." Once I was decent, I plopped down at the little table, dying for caffeine. "Black, no sugar," I said. Nadia giggled and leaned toward Kendra. "Guess he got his honey last night." They lost it again. My head was throbbing, but Kendra slid me a mug of strong black coffee. Right as I went to sip it, Nadia's phone buzzed. She fished it out of a big leather bag on the floor. "Oh, hey," she said into it, then dropped her voice to a whisper. "Yeah, Aunt Esther, I remembered. I'm with Kendra, but she's got a guest. Haven't spilled it yet." A long pause, then Nadia grinned. "Yeah, it's a guy," she said, glancing at Kendra, who was waving her off. "He's good-looking, kinda shy. Nah, not Jewish, I'd know, got a front-row seat when he strolled out of the shower." She was laughing so hard she could barely talk. "She wants you," Nadia said, handing the phone to Kendra. "Hey, Aunt Esther," Kendra said. "No, I won't forget Dad's birthday, tomorrow at 6, dinner at 7, got it?" "Him? Just a buddy." "Nah, he's a work pal, wouldn't fit at a family thing, trust me." She paused, listening, while I sat there nursing my coffee, wondering how I'd ended up in this mess. Kendra passed the phone back to Nadia, who listened as her aunt kept yammering. "I dunno," Nadia said, glancing my way. "She's asking for your name." "What do I say?" "Mason," I replied. "Mason Caldwell." "Mason," Nadia relayed, then added, "and I'm pretty sure they hooked up last night." "Nadia." Kendra hollered, but Nadia just shrugged. "Aunt Clara's on now, and they want to meet him." "No, oh honey, no way." Kendra yelped, freaking out. Then Nadia shoved the phone at me. "Aunt Clara wants a word." I grabbed it, held it to my ear. "Hey, Mason, it's Kendra's Aunt Clara. Me and my sister Esther are throwing a birthday bash for our brother Leonard, Kendra and Nadia's dad. We'd love for you to tag along with Kendra. It'd mean a lot to us. You up for it?" I'm not sure," I said, trying to dodge politely. "Don't want to crash a family thing. I'll let Kendra decide." I handed the phone back, and she spent the next 10 minutes bickering with her aunts while Nadia smirked like she'd started a fire just for fun. Both aunts tag-teamed her, till Kendra caved. "Fine, I'll bring him," she groaned, hanging up. "Honey, honey, honey," she muttered under her breath. "She does that, you know," Nadia said. "Does what?" I asked, lost. "Swaps sugar for the real cuss words, like we're too dumb to figure it out," Nadia said with a grin, hopping up. "Well, my job's done. Gotta save my husband before the kids wreck him." Once she split, Kendra turned to me. "You don't have to come. My family's a lot sometimes." "I don't get why your aunts want to drag a random dude into a family party," I said, scratching my head. Kendra let out a quick, kinda bittersweet chuckle. "Nadia's my little sis, 4 years younger, already hitched with 3 rugrats. I hit 30 last year, and my whole clan's acting like I should have popped out a kid yesterday. They're obsessed with my clock ticking, but they don't really get me. Plus, I'm the wrong religion in their eyes." She flashed a dry grin. "At least I've got the right parts." She kept going. "I used to split this place with a roommate, $300 a month ain't cheap on a junior bankruptcy lawyer's pay." I nodded, knew that struggle too well. Then it hit me. "Wait, there's just one bed," I said, thinking out loud. "Your roommate a chick?" "Yeah," Kendra said, catching my drift. "Don't get any big ideas. I'm not totally straight, but I gotta be buzzed to roll that way with a woman. My old roommate, Riley, wanted more, something serious. I couldn't do it, so she bailed. Now I'm here, mostly straight, the Jewish old maid." I chewed on that, munching a bialy, a flat roll with a dimple, sprinkled with onion bits, kinda like a bagel's cousin. Finally, I blurted the question gnawing at me since I woke up. "Did we?" Kendra cracked up. "Yeah, we hooked up. Wasn't my favorite moment when you moaned Tessa, though." "Sorry," I mumbled, feeling my cheeks heat up. "Don't sweat it," she said, grinning. "We were both a little sauced." "Was I?" I asked, mortified. "Oh, you were trashed," she said with a smirk. I sat there, sipping coffee, trying to wrap my head around how my life had flipped upside down. Yesterday morning, I'd been squaring off against the woman now across from me, Kendra, honey. I'd been pumped to marry Tessa. Now Tessa was gone, and here I was, hashing out last night with Kendra. "This is nuts," I muttered. "What is?" she asked. "All of it, Tessa, me being here with you." She didn't laugh, though it looked like she wanted to. You've been through the ringer with Tessa. How about crashing here today, taking it slow? I thought it over. I don't think I can handle being solo right now. If it's cool, I'll stick around. She smiled. Sure, let's make a day of it. So we did. We tumbled back into bed, and let me tell you, getting busy with Kendra was a whole different game compared to Tessa. She was into it, way more than I expected. Man, you're really loving this, I said, half laughing. Been a while since I've had a guy, she murmured. Not women, though? I asked, curious. She propped up on her elbows, eyeing me. If you're digging for numbers, I've been with more chicks than dudes. But it's not just about the action. I slid down the bed a bit, and in one quick move, she was on top, locking eyes with me. Nothing beats a man in the sack, far as I'm concerned. But for a relationship? I need more than that. I need a real connection, someone I can respect. You check those boxes? You're a solid guy in bed, she said. Tessa must have put in some serious coaching. I didn't know what to say to that, but she wasn't wrong. Tessa had shaped me up good. Kendra kept talking. You're in my bed 'cause you're decent. I've been watching you, you don't screw people over if you can avoid it. You're straight up, treat women like humans, not trophies. You're one of the rare good ones. Huh, I said. That's nice, but does that really fit a rookie lawyer? Sounds like you've been scoping me out. Duh, she said. I spotted you on State Street, tailed you to the bar, didn't I? If Tessa Hayward fumbled a catch like you, I wasn't gonna let it slip. I'm not some prize, I said, firm. You think she was in love with you? She asked. Nah, probably not, I admitted, the weight of it sinking in. Sorry, she said, softer now. Didn't mean to poke a sore spot. She slid down, and we got lost in the heat again. Later, we ordered some takeout, chowed down, and crashed hard. Come morning, her aunts rang up, nagging about the party. Kendra, don't flake, bring Mason early to help set up, Nadia's voice chirped through the line. She spilled everything, and the whole crew's dying to meet him. Aunt Esther was still jabbering on the phone. I don't care what Nadia said, he's not my boyfriend, Kendra shot back. Well, bring him anyway, he knows he's welcome if he shows, she said, then hung up. I cracked a grin. Sounds like they're giving me some props. You don't have to go, Kendra said, locking eyes with me, dead serious. What else am I gonna do? I'm not itching to sit around solo right now, I admitted. She'd been a solid distraction from the mess Tessa left me in, I wasn't ready to stew over that betrayal. Alright, she said, but heads up, they'll size you up like your husband material. Technically, I'm a groom already, but let's keep my soap opera under wraps if that's cool, I said, flashing a half smile. Works for me, she replied. Far as today goes, that snake Tessa's a ghost. But you'll have to face her soon. Yeah, I sighed, feeling the weight. Kendra slid her hand across the table, resting it on mine. Mason, you've gotta pick a lane, go through with this wedding tomorrow or kill it. Either way, it's gonna get ugly. No way I can do it now, I said, my head spinning. Don't rush that call, she warned, squeezing my hand soft. Ditch it, and your career and life take a hit. This won't just fade out quiet. Why? I'm not spilling the real story, and I bet she won't either, I pushed back, getting prickly. Oh, you sweet Nebraska greenhorn, she said with a gentle grip. You think folks don't already know about Commissioner Morales and Tessa Hayward? They've been at it for years. I thought they were done, I said, thrown. She didn't laugh, but her sly smile told me plenty. I went along with it, but Tessa was still tangled up with Morales the whole time she had you. You were her exit strategy. But why me if she wanted him? I asked. He's gunning for governor next year, Kendra said. Your engagement was her ticket to ditch the affair. You're the perfect fix, young, straight, decent, a pro. Every straight gal in Chicago's dream guy. Straight gal? I quirked a brow. Yeah, someone who sticks with the gender they got at birth, like Tessa. She needed a clean-cut dude to hush the gossip about her fling with an older, married politico. She played you like a pro, as you Chicago folks say. I scowled. Don't wallow, she added. Maybe she was just saying goodbye like she claimed, a week before the wedding. Would you rather she pulled it after? I'd rather she didn't pull it at all. That's non-negotiable, I said, firm. Kendra shrugged a little. Well, you got your payback with me. You could still haul off to DuPage and marry her. Not a chance, I snapped. Hey, get your head straight before you do anything wild, she cautioned. Skip the church tomorrow, and people talk. I said, past caring. She leaned in, voice dropping. Look, a scandal screws everybody. You're a junior bankruptcy lawyer, Morales is a heavyweight. Stir the pot, and his ship might wobble, but yours will capsize. You saying I'll get canned? I asked, suddenly on edge. No, she said, her face grim. I'm saying your career's toast. Nobody'll touch you. I took a beat to chew on that, then said, Kendra, I might just be a Nebraska farm kid, but when Tessa said yes, she signed up for something. She didn't hold up her end, why should I? She shook her head, then finally said, all right, you hard-headed hayseed, get dressed. I'm dragging you to meet my folks. They don't get a live Lutheran every day. Actually, I'm Presbyterian, I corrected. Close enough, she said with a wink. By 5:30 p.m., we hopped a yellow cab to her family's place on Orchard Lane. No car services, Uncle Bernie, a retired cabbie, wouldn't have it. Bernie lived off his pension now with his sisters, Esther and Clara, in a house they'd inherited from their folks. He'd been hitched once, but his wife ditched him for a tire salesman 30 years back, nobody brought it up. Aunt Clara's husband got killed in Vietnam, and Esther never tied the knot. Kendra's dad, Leonard, the baby of the crew, was the only one with kids. Him and his wife, Miriam, had Kendra and Nadia, plus 3 grandkids courtesy of Nadia and her husband, Pete. The place sat in a chunk of Evanston folks call Norwood or Norwood Park, realtors lingo. When we pulled up, it was a big 2-story joint on a wide lot, roomier than your typical Chicago pad. No park nearby, though, unlike Kendra's spot across from a quiet green patch. Her aunts and uncle lived on a busy street instead. The house had that queen and flair, not a mansion, but beefier than most city homes. Aunt Esther greeted us at the door, short, solid, with steel-gray hair. She hugged Kendra, calling her Kenny, then turned to me, eyeing me up for what felt like forever before saying, not bad, huh? Good-looking kid. Oh, he's a catch, Aunt Clara chimed in, stepping out from the back. She was tall, dark-haired, the opposite of Esther. After Clara squeezed Kendra, they hustled us into the kitchen. A big cake sat on the table, and the air was thick with roasting meat and a whiff of vanilla. Kenny, peel the potatoes, Clara said, tossing her a peeler and a colander of spuds. I'll borrow your guy to set the table, Esther said, grabbing my hand and pulling me through a swinging door into the dining room. It was a long, wide space, burgundy carpet over hardwood, dark oak panels climbing halfway up the walls, topped with rose-patterned wallpaper that drew your eyes to the ceiling. Up there, mahogany and oak twisted into a fancy grid, with a simple chandelier dangling from a carved medallion. Esther tugged me over to the china cabinets lining the far wall, packed with all kinds of porcelain sets. She pointed at one and said, we're using these plates today. With a grin, she added, being Jewish ain't a picnic, you know, different dishes for everything. I kinda got it, meat and dairy don't mix in her world. She handed me a stack of plates, and we started laying them out on this huge table with clawed feet, draped in a crisp white linen cloth. As we worked, I couldn't help flipping the plates over, checking the bottoms, and peeking at the linen tags. Porcelain from England, linens from Ireland, legit stuff, I thought, just like the folks living here. Esther kept the chatter light, tossing me easy questions that felt casual but were digging for dirt. Before long, she'd pried out damn near everything about me, except the whole Tessa train wreck, which I kept locked down. When we set the last silver fork in place, she said offhand, it's not a big deal, you know, just a little snip. Most kids don't even fuss. I had no clue what she was on about, but before I could ask, a ruckus kicked up in the hall. A bold woman's voice rang out, I'm here, and I brought the birthday man. It was Miriam, Judge Miriam Kessler from the U.S. District Court, Kendra's mom. Her dad, Leonard, taught economics at the University of Illinois Chicago. This was his birthday gig, and I was the plus one. Esther nudged me back into the kitchen while she went to say hi to her brother and sister-in-law. Inside, Kendra was peeling potatoes, dropping them into a pot on the stove. She glanced my way. "We're hanging here till my aunts spill that you're their guest. Am I gonna mess things up for you?" I asked, feeling a sudden urge to shield her. "Nah, but it'll rattle, I've never hauled a guy home before. Mom's a tough critic, so brace yourself." It was already weird, and it got weirder when they called us into the living room to meet the folks. The living room was big and warm, decked out like something from way back, early 1900s vibes. It could have been chill, but the air was thick with tension as we walked in. Kendra grabbed a little box from the jacket she'd hung up earlier, obviously a birthday gift. Silence hit hard when we stepped in, but Leonard broke it with a grin and a quip. "This kid my present, Kenny?" "No, Dad," Kendra said softly, handing him the box while squeezing my hand tight. Hadn't even noticed she'd been holding it that long. "Well," Leonard said, "I was hoping for a son-in-law, but this'll do, I bet." He smiled at her, peeling open the wrapping to reveal a beat-up baseball. His grin got bigger. "Signed Mets game ball," he said, explaining it to the puzzled faces around him. He stood to hug Kendra, muttering something in her ear. She whispered back, but I couldn't catch it. He chuckled, but when I snuck a look at her mom, Miriam was staring daggers at me. Right then, Nadia rolled in with her husband and their 3 kids, who stormed the room and stole the show. "Oh good, you're here," Nadia said, giving me a quick hug before pointing to her man. "This is Pete, Kendra's new flames meeting the crew." Pete was a lanky guy, like a stiff wind could topple him. He shook my hand. "Don't mind Nadia, she lives to rib her big sis." The chatter swung to the kids' latest stunts and the goodies they'd brought for Grandpa, which let me fade out of the hot seat, though I could still feel Miriam's eyes boring into me. Dinner was straightforward but tasty, and the table talk had that low-key happiness you get with family. Every now and then, someone lobbed a question my way. If Kendra could field it, she jumped in fast. For the personal stuff, I kept it short or dodged. "Yeah, my folks were gone." "Yeah, the farm's in Nebraska." "Yeah, just one sister," didn't dive into Paige, 'cause I wasn't sure how to unpack that mess. But over coffee and cake, things flipped. Judge Kessler, Miriam, had been eyeballing me all night. When the kids got busy with their dessert, she struck. "Mason, you tied to that Caldwell set to wed Tessa Hayward tomorrow?" I froze, but answered before Kendra could snap back with the heat I knew she had ready. "Sort of," I said. "I was gonna marry Tessa, but that's done. And no, your daughter didn't wreck it." "That true?" Miriam asked, swinging to Kendra. "Yeah," Kendra said. "Really?" her mom pressed, skeptical. "Yes, Mom, it's legit, if that's what's eating you," Kendra fired back, her edge showing. "Look, I didn't even want to drag Mason here, but he got the invite and was nice enough to roll with it." Miriam looked like she had more to say, but Leonard cut in. "Miriam, enough," he said, firm. "This kid obviously clocked that Mancini business. I've been watching Mason all night, he's not the type to let that slide." His words landed like a bucket of ice water, shutting Miriam down. From the looks around the table, her parents got the score, but the rest were in the dark. Kendra spoke up. "I've had my eye on Mason for a while. Found him that night, all busted up and alone, so I took my shot. He got burned by a rotten woman. Yeah, Mom, I love him, he's too good not to." Kendra circled the table and wrapped her arms around me from behind. "Nice work, my niece," Uncle Bernie piped up, shutting down the chatter about us. After that, it's all a blur, just this warm, easy feeling hanging over the table. As we piled into the yellow cab to head back, I turned to Kendra. "You for real?" I asked. "What?" she said, dodging. "When you said you love me, meant it?" The cab got real quiet. She lifted her head slowly and said, "Yeah, Mason, I love you. Spotted you months back and wanted you bad. Now it's more than that, I love you, Mason Caldwell." 30 minutes later, I was in cuffs. Turns out Tessa had camped out in our apartment all Friday night, waiting for me to crawl back. Where'd she think I'd gone? By Saturday morning, with me still AWOL and the wedding locked for Monday, she flipped out. Scared I'd bail, she dialed the one guy with more to lose than her, Diego Morales, or as I now knew him, Derek Mancini. He sicked the cops on me right away. Took a day to grill every bartender on State Street, till one remembered me leaving the Shadow Lady bar with a short brunette. Since Kendra and I had cabbed it 12 blocks to her Evanston basement pad, they started hitting up every driver from that night. By late Sunday, they tracked the taxi that dumped us at Ridge and Davis. From there, they pinned down Kendra Mosley's place, matched the description of the chick I was with. When the cops swung by Friday night, it was dark and dead. Didn't stop them, they parked a couple patrol cars and waited. That eager crew was ready when Kendra and I rolled up from the party. She yelled her head off, but they hauled me out fast. By midnight, I was stuck in a grimy little room, dingy walls begging for paint, cuffed to a table, no clue what I'd done. The door creaked open, and in strutted Tessa, looking drop-dead gorgeous as always. "So this is your mess?" I asked, my voice thick with rage and letdown. She stood across the table, dazed, 2 chairs behind her, but she didn't sit. "Mason, please, when you didn't come home, I thought something happened to you," she said. "So you had me locked up? For what?" A tall, slick guy slipped in behind her, too handsome for his own good. He eased toward Tessa, and I clocked him instantly. Derek Mancini, alias Diego Morales. 20+ years on me, trying to mask the wear, but it showed. "Diego Morales," I spat, venom dripping. "Call me Derek," he said, all smooth. "Hoping we can be pals." "It's Mr. Caldwell to you," I shot back, ice cold. "And I ain't looking for friends." He sighed. "Too bad, 'cause I think you'd gain from it right now." I jangled my cuffed wrists just enough to make the chains clink. "You can hold me here, but not forever," I said, faking more guts than I felt. Derek smirked faint. "Just long enough for Tessa to talk, I hope." She'd been quiet, till then. "Mason, you've got it wrong. Derek and I are done, whatever we had, it's history. If you'd stuck around Friday, I'd have laid it all out. We've got a saying in Nebraska," I cut in. "I might have been born at night, but not last night. Caught you in his hotel room." "Mason," she started, but Derek slid in slick as oil. "Doesn't matter. You two are slated to wed today, and it's best for everybody if it happens." "Sorry, not marrying a backstabber," I said flat. Tessa let out a little sob, but Derek just grinned. "Watch the words, let's keep it polite." "What, call her loose instead?" "'Cause that's what she is." I saw it hit him, though he kept that smile plastered on. Tessa turned away, tears rolling. Derek stayed cool. "That attitude's trouble. You're being dumb. Tessa's a catch, great wife material. Skip the wedding, and it's a circus. Reporters are coming, it's a big deal. Her rep's toast, mine too, 'cause the dirt will spill. People eat up scandals like this. You've got a solid gig at a top firm, but ditch her today, and that's gone. Nobody'll touch you after." I grinned back. Wouldn't marry her for a corner office, let alone scrape by as a bankruptcy grunt. Derek sighed again. "Told you he wouldn't bite," Tessa mumbled through her crying. He kept that even tone. "All right, Mr. Caldwell, how much to make Tessa Mrs. Caldwell?" "You don't have enough cash," I said. He didn't flinch. "Doesn't need to be permanent, a year, 2, then a quiet split." "And what'll folks say when we divorce?" I asked. He stayed steady, a pro at this game. "That's my headache when it happens." "Name your price for 2 years. How long has she been pregnant?" I asked, finally connecting the dots. Tessa whipped around, her voice sharp and bitter. "Could be yours." "Maybe," I said. "I'll wait for the DNA." Derek didn't even blink. "How much?" "No pile of cash in the world," I said, practically snarling at him. Before he could counter, the door swung open. A short, bald guy in his 60s marched in, trailed by 2 cops. "Hey, Derek. Miss Hayward. You're Mason Caldwell, right?" he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "I'm your lawyer, Leo Hirsch. Here's the writ of habeas corpus I just filed." He shoved a paper at Derek, who skimmed it with a faint scowl. "Bit late, Leo," Derek said, his voice edged with annoyance. "Wheels turn slow," Leo replied, cool as ice. Derek tried to flex, hunting he'd push for a forced hold, but Leo shot it down. "Warrant's bunk, only my sister could file it," and she's my last kin alive. Derek knew he was beat, gave a little shrug, and backed off. Leo hustled me out, and there was Kendra waiting. Her mom, Judge Kessler, had roused Leo and pulled strings to spring me. That was the last I ever saw of Tessa. No kid ever came, guess she dodged that mess to keep Derek's rep clean. He probably tried to tank my career like he threatened, but luck had other plans. I was off on my honeymoon from October 5th to the 17th, 2009. When I got back on the 18th, Lehman Brothers had cratered, flipping the money world on its head. Vic Grayson shot up to top dog at the firm, and I turned into the guy everybody needed. Kendra and I were grinding 85-hour weeks for 7 months straight. We tied the knot just as her belly started showing, perfect timing. The first son was born, then 3 daughters. 4 children were more than enough for us. Kendra climbed the ladder to judge, like her mom, and I struck out with my own firm. Folks always ask what's the trick to my career and marriage kicking ass. I tell 'em it all kicked off with a day at the racetrack, a smashed heart, and a gal called Honey.